Hello and welcome back to the Fulhamish YouTube channel. My name is Don Betts, and on today's video we're looking into Saturday's game at Loftus Road in the FA Cup third round against Queen's Park Rangers. And joining to look ahead to the game is James Allcott. How you doing, James, mate?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm all right. I don't know, general feelings around QPR are pretty morbid at the moment, but it's nice to be asked to talk about QPR. That doesn't happen often enough. So thanks for having me on, mate. I appreciate it. I know the pod's been going on for a while, and no, it's good. It's good to see you guys doing so well. It's brilliant.
Yeah, cheers, mate. And this is such a weird game because usually, a West London derby, this game would most likely be on a Friday night, usually when Sky schedule it. But it's sort of a game where both teams don't really need it. I mean, it's slightly less for us because we haven't played the last 2 weeks, but both of us are both trying to survive in our respective leagues. And with QPR, when Fulham first came down from the Premier League after 13 years in sort of 13-14, obviously you guys went the other way. And we were sort of, on a level sort of playing field at that point, both teams sort of on that Premier League or top end championship level. And then you guys sort of, obviously we had quite a poor first two seasons down there, but you guys sort of haven't seemed to recover since your last relegation from the Premier League.
I think we went, how people say, don't do a Fulham. We did a Fulham before doing a Fulham was a thing, if that makes sense. So Fulham, you spent that 100 million and then went down. People are like, you can't spend that much money. Well, hang on. Like, that's what teams do when they come up. They end up spending a decent amount of money. Now, QPR were that team that did that first, really. Like, we went up and we were able to stay up. We obviously had Neil Warnock who got us up, able to stay up, and then spent too much money. Obviously, the whole chemistry of the whole team was a mess. We spent way too much money, and then we went down. And then there's a whole problem with financial fair play and all of that. And I think the amount of money that we spent, it made the owners think differently about the club and how much they wanted to put in. Because I think it's all good putting money in when you get up and then you stay up and then you become Leicester City and then you're excited about. That's the aim of all of these rich owners. That's what they're all looking to do. I think with us, it didn't work. We sort of had to double down to get back into the Premier League. And then again, still weren't good enough. And then by the time we went down, we had the problem that I think a lot of teams, when they come back down into the Championship, have, where they've got players that don't really want to be there. They've got players that want to be in the Premier League. And so for you to galvanise a team, it either needs to be almost like too good as a team to allow you to bounce back up, or otherwise you're going to be in trouble. And that's what happened with us, really. We had a lot of people on decent wages. I think we were a bit scorned from the first time we had to go down, and the finances were, and we saw this financial fair play problem looming, which it obviously did do. And so from then we've totally changed our philosophy as a club, because we don't seem to have much money. The idea is to become a lot more sustainable. We've got a chief executive called Lee whose previous clubs were Southampton and Burnley. And, if you think about the way that those clubs are run, it's about being careful with your finances. It's if you are able to go up, you do it on the right kind of budget. And it's about, if you're Southampton, bringing players through. And I think that's where QPR find themselves now, with the kind of growing pains of bringing through loads of players now. Like, for the first 20 years of me supporting QPR, we didn't bring through any players at all. And now that's kind of all we're doing, because we don't have the money to buy anyone else. So we're now in a place where we've got these youngsters coming through, and you'll see how good they are in time. But we haven't got much money to strengthen elsewhere in a league that actually does still have quite a lot of money in it. So that's why we've not been able to bounce back like some of those other clubs that you're talking about, and Fulham, of course, as well, because you guys, you're all right for money, aren't you?
Yeah, at the moment, to be fair, since Al Fire's come in, we've never been short of money, even though we've had our sort of financial fair play issues when we were in the Championship last time. But that's all to deal with new owners not understanding how the Championship really works. Obviously, QPR, they stayed up last season. At some points, it was looking fairly risky whether they would stay up between the Championship or League One. And then, looking at the transfer business, obviously you sold Eze to Crystal Palace, but you brought in some good quality players, for example, like Macaulay Bond from Charlton Athletic, and looking from the outside, the transfers looked like they would help stabilise QPR, but it doesn't. You don't seem to have moved on at all this season. It seems just another season of trying to stay up in the Championship.
Yeah, well, last year we used the loan system and we used it really well. players that like Luke Amos, who we actually then signed, who's now got injured for the whole of the season, which I think is a big loss for us in midfield. But players last season, like the likes of Jack Clark from Spurs, who didn't actually end up playing for us too much, but he was there, available. Narky Wells, we got on loan, who scored 13 goals. Jordan Hugill scored 15 goals. We had a player from Man City called Matt Smith as well. This year, we've not done that. And that makes it difficult. We're going back to a philosophy that I like. I like the idea that we're buying players like Rob Dickey, like Macaulay Bonne that you're talking about, like George Thomas, players who've got kind of lower league experience, or you're buying them from teams in the division below and are hoping that they bounce and then are good enough to bounce again and become better players because they've got that hunger. I like that we've done that, but what we haven't done is we haven't supplemented that with quality through the loan market, which we had last year. Like last year was actually so exciting to watch. We played some amazing football, and we had a really good blend of a manager that plays great football, players that were coming through. And that's the other thing that we do at QPR now, is that we find players that have probably been released by Premier League clubs, top clubs, and sort of give them a bit of a home here, right? And so the likes of someone like Eze, who's released by Arsenal, the Mill or whatever, but let's use Eze as an example. You had the mix of someone like him who we'd taken and made one of our own, and he came through, so he didn't cost anything. Someone like Bright Say Samuel, who we'd got from Blackpool, a league below, which is the other side of our kind of philosophy, and then that sprinkling of Jordan Hugill and Narky Wells, players that are top championship players to bring us the goals. So altogether, it was quite a nice team. This year, we don't have that sprinkling of loans, and we've sold or lost 45 goals. We've lost Hugill, we've lost Wells, and we lost Eze. 45 goals. And then Ryan Manning, who's our left back, who created loads of those goals. So when you lose all those goals, that's where we're struggling now. And that's where I'm concerned as a QPR fan, because we do play good football, which is important to me. And I think it gives you a chance in games, but we don't score many goals at the moment. And that's a massive concern for us.
Yeah, and it's. I said we spoke off air. It's just weird, sort of going into a Fulham QPR local derby with not necessarily nothing riding on it. There has been games obviously where there's been nothing riding on it, but a game where neither team is really that concerned about it. Because even the one post lockdown last season, we both needed to get something out of that game, really, us for our promotion charge and you guys to make sure you stayed up in the championship. Obviously, somehow Cyrus Christie scored from 20, 25 yards out. I don't think we'll be seeing that much anytime soon during his loan spell at Nottingham Forest. But yeah, it's just very weird going into a Fulham QPR game with sort of not that, it's derby day, it's Fulham playing, it's look, we're going away to Office Road, or you guys are coming to the Cottage. It's sort of both teams are like, it's an FA Cup game this weekend.
I think it's a massive problem with the FA Cup for clubs in both our positions. Championship clubs are playing so many games of football, and you're at the end of that long list of games, even more so this year. And that always seems to be the case with QPR. We've got a terrible record in the FA Cup, and it seems like every year we get to this point and we're like, we could really do without this. And so you find yourself being an okay championship club, and that needs to rotate the squad because you want to be careful for the championship season. And so it feels like a bit of a sort of dead rubber. I think that's the problem. Loads of championship teams will play weak inside because of this. And then for a team like Spurs or Fulham, any team in the bottom half of the Premier League, or certainly in the bottom 5 or 6, you just don't need this, do you? You don't need the extra games. You don't need players that might get injured for you. So that's the problem. There's a weird filtering, I think, with the FA Cup, where you have a lot of teams that are like, we're going to play the squad players and see if we get ourselves to the 5th round. And once we get to the 5th round, then we'll take it seriously. But that is just the way that the FA Cup is now. So yeah, like I say, QPR, we just every single year we seem to get a team that is like probably about 10 places better than us. Do you know what I mean? And I guess even more so this year with you guys. And we get that every single year, and then we end up losing to those teams because they've got a higher level of confidence than we have, and probably a little bit more quality as well. So yeah, it's an awkward one for you guys because I think you are starting to get somewhere, but you need your squad to be fit, don't you? You need every single first team player to be fit. So I would imagine both of us would make a lot of changes for this one.
Yeah, I think one big thing I think will make a lot of changes. Obviously, in the Premier League, you're limited to your 25-man squad. Whereas in this game, obviously we've had our COVID issues, which has been widely reported with the 2 postponements, but we could see the likes of players like Josh Onoma, who's been obviously out injured, so he didn't make the 25-man squad. You got Championship level players in like Kevin McDonald and Stefan Johansson, who didn't make the 25 player squad, and you got squad players like Bukar Kamara, Niskins Cabano, Michael Hector, Tim Ream, etc., who haven't been playing so much in obviously the Premier League. So I imagine them sort of players will be playing in this game, but then straight after this game on Friday night next week, we obviously have Chelsea at home, and we could be the team that puts the last dagger into Frank Lampard at Chelsea, and Fulham fans would love nothing more than that to be the answer. And then we've got big games this month. Well. Yeah, and we got big games this month. We play West Brom. We play West Brom at the end of the month, which is a huge fixture. Play Brighton this month again. So it's I'm interested in this game. There's players I'm interested to see what they can offer, because obviously their confidence must be so damaged by players who started the season playing for us getting battered, and then them coming out the side and us clearly performing better. But I do think we are going to have our squad is clearly going to be better than QPR squad players. So I imagine we should be too confident. But it is going to have a bit of a reserve-y kind of feel to it, because it's both teams have got much more important aims this season. But as we're speaking about the lineups, what sort of team are you expecting, players-wise, for Mark Warburton to field?
So he sometimes plays, he has played 3 at the back quite often. He has generally looked to play 4 at the back, though. I think that's generally how we play, with one up top. We've got a lot of sort of kind of tricky players in midfield that can offer something like Samuel. Ilias Chair is one of our best players this year. He's really kind of gone up a notch from last year, where he was almost like the other guy in our attacking options, because Eze was taking all the headlines, and this year we really needed him to step up, and he has been good for us. He's been really, really good for us. So he's an option as well. Callum Willock, who was formerly at Arsenal. We got him from Benfica. He's another one of those tricky players, and Adamar as well. We've got a lot of those kind of players. We've got good wing play. It's the striking situation, and that's the problem we've got is just bringing it all together. When I watch QPR, I feel like got Dykes up top, and it just feels like the rest of the team's miles away from him a lot of the time, and that's the thing I'm struggling with. For us, I think, look, this is the other problem for QPR teams, QPR fans, QPR teams, is that we're not going to win it. I think that's the feeling right now. Once you get to round 5, round 6, you're like, okay, hang on, we could get ourselves to Wembley, whatever. It could be exciting, but at this stage, it just feels like just such a chore really for us, which I know is not the exciting thing to say, but that's why I wonder if we will kind of move it about quite a lot. We have I think we're Fulham. It feels like you've got your top guys, and then you've got the Championship guys from last year. We've got a squad that feels like everyone is of the same level. So in terms of the team, you could pick a very similar team to the team that plays in Championship games or gets Championship appearances for us, and it won't be too surprising. There won't be that same difference between our first team players and the squad players that will come in. That's kind of our problem at the moment. We've got a lot of sort of mediocre players at the moment. So yeah, for us, we look, Warburton plays one way. Like we play really good football. We look to keep the ball. But we just seem to be struggling to score goals at the moment. So in terms of the lineup, God knows who's going to play, to be honest. But it will be a team that looks to play football and hopefully can sort of bloody the nose of Fulham. Because I think for you guys, that's the thing. You've got, if Parker's clever, he can spin it in a way that goes to the players that aren't playing a lot of the time for 2 reasons. Like, get yourself in that 25-man squad. Secondly, you go, look, this is going to be your football this year. If you stay in the FA Cup, these are probably the games you're going to play in. And thirdly, it's a shop window, I think, for some of these Fulham players, if they want to get a move to a Championship club, because I think there's not much money that's going to be spent. It's going to be loans in the January transfer window. So I think a lot of Championship clubs will be looking to do business. So some of those Fulham players that you mentioned there, McDonald and Johansson, they're a great example of players that could drop down into the Championship and be really, really useful. So it's Yeah, it's a really funny game, isn't it? For it to be a derby game. Of course, we want to beat Fulham, West London rival. But we just like to win a game, mate. To be honest.
So if I can push you for a score prediction finally, what are you going to go with, James?
I think I've been negative enough, haven't I? So let's go with 2-1.
Yeah, as I said, I don't think it's going to be a massively scoring game for us. I think it will be a close game because you said it will be players who won't have played too much football. But that's been our preview for QPR against Fulham in the FA Cup third round this weekend. I want to say thank you very much for James Allcott for coming. All his links will be able to find in the description down below. I've been Don Betts, and we'll see you guys next time.